Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Rye TV. I'm Rye. I am the creator of the New School Kitchen, where I help busy people cook real food in less time through coaching, recipes, meal plans, and a membership. And I also do kind of a crazy show where I sit with awesome people, usually on a split screen. Today we're hanging out side by side for real, and bring some wisdom, usually that I need, to the masses. So thank you so much for being here. Please participate if you're here live. And I want to introduce my guest. Hello, guest.
Hello.
So this lady right here next to me, near and dear to my heart. I met her 10 years ago, maybe a little less, as we both were setting about to connect women to resources in this community. So not much has changed since then, although everything has changed. She is a personal development coach with a focus and a really special set of gifts and tools around helping families be happier. Her business is Health Impact. She's worked with over 300 babies. That's a lot of babies. Over 300 babies, helping to empower the families really and the moms to read their babies' cues better, so that they can be the hero in their child's lives. And she's got the best laugh and curls of anyone I've ever met. Ladies and gentlemen, Jess Alum.
Hi, thank you. I was going to say, you'll probably hear my laugh.
Yes, you'll hear her laugh. I would be furious if she didn't unleash the laugh on all of us. Thank you for being on this episode of Rye TV.
Girl, I'm pumped to be here.
You are?
I am very excited, and I'm glad we could be together, actually.
Yeah, this feels cozy.
Yeah.
We've also got tea to make it cozier if you want to make some tea or get yourself a drink that might help. Cheers.
Now would be the time to just sit, relax, be present with us.
Yes, well, I love that you said that, be present with us, because I'm coming off of hurricane stuff, like most of us, right?
Yeah.
I haven't done an episode in 2 months. We were postponed on this from last month, and I'm feeling foggy. I was feeling a little panicky on my way here, like, what am I doing? I have to figure it out. And what I really love about you is that I feel permission to be totally present and myself with you. And so I had to tell myself, just show up with Jess, and what's organic is what will come up and good. Yay?
That's all we can do is just try to be here now.
Yeah, you've taught me that. Jess is a meditation girl. If you've never attended one of her guided meditations or been a coaching client of hers, there's a real gift in the present moment, as you'll hear me talk about. So we won't meditate today, but perhaps you'll get a chance to win a session with Jess, and you can do a little mindfulness. We've got a couple of people on live. How fun is that? I won't necessarily be able to jump in and answer your questions, but I want you to ask them anyway. We can answer them after the fact. Jess and I can even go back in and give you some info. But we're going to really equip you today, friends, ladies and gentlemen, to learn how to ask for what you need. Generate better communication in your family. This is Jess's superpower. I'm going to call it. Yeah? Can I say that?
Wow, thank you.
I mean,
yes.
Besides the superpower where I brought Luca here to her office, tongue-tied and a total fussy, colicky mess, and after every session, he was an angel baby.
He was always an angel baby.
Oh, you saw the angel in him. I didn't.
We just had to tap into it. Unleash his wings so that he could.
You did it. Jess, has magic hands with these babies, you guys. It was craniosacral, mostly, that you did with him, right? If you know anything about a tongue-tied baby, they need that tissue work.
Yep.
And you did it on him, and it really was amazing to see in 3, 4, 5, 6 sessions the shift in him at 3 months old.
It was a significant transition, but I also think that the important thing to understand about baby body work is that the mom and the baby are so connected at that young age that sometimes if the baby was cueing that he wasn't interested in the body work from me, I could give it to you, and then your system would settle to allow his system to open up through you.
So he was getting the benefit, but I was also getting the benefit.
Yeah.
And that symbiotic relationship that he and I have. I do think I remember a session where Luca passed out, or we both kind of passed out on your table, and you gave me the craniosacral.
Yeah.
It was heaven. Thanks for that. You saved me.
Well, I'm glad he's doing well.
He is happy and 2 years old. So what the other superpower is Jess's communication skills. And I feel like this is so big for me and my family right now. So I'm going to use Jess to give me a little bit of coaching, and hopefully by osmosis and by watching and taking this in, you can hear her 4-part fill in the blank formula, you guys. You don't have to remember an hour of an interview, and I'm going to even write it out for you after the fact. Fill in the blanks, ladies. This is what's going to get us through to better communication in our families. So why do we want to practice better asking of what we need within the context of a family? What's important about this?
Everyone's behavior is driven to help them meet a need.
Okay.
But rather than looking for what is significant about the behavior, often we're just triggered emotionally by it, and then we get so flooded by, in part, our own need not being met,
yep,
that we forget to see really what's behind the action. So we're looking at what's the motivator. The motivator is having our need met, and having our need met is how we survive.
Ooh.
So it's all kind of biologically...
super primal stuff.
Yeah. It's primal stuff, and it just makes family life so much more difficult when we're fighting against extraneous, when we can really go to the core need and be compassionate and empathic around that need. Then not only we're more kind and loving, but we grow that emotional intelligence in the child.
Wow. She just said about 30 things that made me want to laugh and cry at the same time. I love that. Compassion, kindness. That's kind of what's missing, I think, mostly in my relationship with my 10-year-old right now. I was explaining to Jess how it's a real power struggle for Miles and I right now. I have a request, and he has a counter request, and they don't seem to match up. And then what ensues is a power struggle. I don't know if anyone out there can relate. We're not just talking about kids. We're talking about any relationship here with this kind of communication.
This style can be used for self-reflection. So you don't even ever really have to share this with anyone. If you can nail it within yourself as a way to process, and you can journal or bring it to your coach or bring it to your friend or your counselor or your pastor or whoever can support you. But then if you do teach your partner, teach your children, and model that for them, it can be a framework that is sort of almost a first aid kit. Like, okay, we're not communicating well. Let's just really break it down with this 4-step.
Great.
And then a dialogue can open up that's really about what you need, not what happened.
Right. And blame and you. And then I felt this. Yeah. That whole part where you talked about being triggered because your need isn't met. And then suddenly, and for me, it's almost like a wash happens, right? The emotion is everything at that point, and I'm not able to see that he feels hurt by what's happening. I'm just pissed off.
And it happens with the kid too. And again, it's emotional, and it's biochemical, because we're getting flooded with certain hormones that are helping us stay alive, and reactors of the adrenaline system to say, but wait, I have to have this too, because otherwise I might not get through this. And so it's sort of taking it down a couple notches and just saying, I can see that that's a need, and I have a need too, and how can we negotiate so that everyone's needs are met and everyone learns how to compromise.
I like this learning piece. This is the biggest thing I want us all to take away, me included, is that this is this 4-part fill-in-the-blank formula Jess is going to give us in just a moment is you said first aid kit?
It can be a first aid kit. I mean, because it's a little bit, you might not always want in the heat of the moment to say, here's a method,
sure.
You know,
but talk about a handy dandy tool to pull out when you're like, I don't know what to do anymore.
Right. Like, things are getting out of control. Yeah. We really don't have time, and this isn't reaching our highest family mission, which is to love each other and take care of each other. That's all we really want, right?
Right. And to just, we went to Old Time Pottery this morning, guys, the 4 of us, and it was like, just stressful to be in there picking out a new shower curtain and entryway doormat. And I had a moment where I was like, this could be fun. And the kids were kind of having fun, but I was so like, my need is to pick this stuff out and get out of here without having a nervous breakdown. And I didn't feel that by having the baby run up and down the aisle and the oldest one take his shoes off and play hide and seek in the aisles and knock things over, that my need was being met, but their needs were being met.
I was going to say, clearly everyone has different needs.
And that's the beauty of this method, is that it's going to allow us to speak for ourselves, but also be able to see what the other person is experiencing. Yes?
Yes.
Good. Let's dive into it. So, 4-part fill in the blank. Let's start with part 1. Let's see. Should we have an example in order for you to do this? Well, explain what it is. The first sentence to fill in the blank of.
Part 1 is to state an observation.
Okay.
That is a fact. In other words, everyone can see that it happened.
Okay, state an observation that is a fact. For example, you're running around the store with your shoes off?
Exactly.
Okay, very simple. You 2 miles, I would have said, you are running around the store with your shoes off.
Yes.
What about you're not eating your vegetables?
I can see that you're pushing your broccoli to the side of the plate, but all your chicken nuggets are gone.
Yep. So it's just the fact. It's not, I can see that you're avoiding eating your broccoli, right? That's me putting that on them.
It is to state as clearly and objectively as you can about what has happened.
So just stating the circumstances.
It's the circumstances.
Great.
And just to add I don't know what you call it. This is for positive communication as well as conflict management.
Okay.
So I like to really start with using this to express gratitude and appreciation.
Oh, yeah. So give me an example of that.
When you come to my office to interview me and have a chat about this framework, we all can agree it's happening.
That's happening, right? Yep. Great.
We would move into the second part.
Great. No, that's perfect. So you were expressing gratitude by the way you said it to me? Yeah, she was giving me eye contact. She was smiling. I felt special because you felt gratitude. I like that. So instead of, when you're being a little jerk when I tell you to clean your room, probably not the right approach. No? No. Okay. So when you... So it is a little bit, yeah, out of context.
Sorry,
not as funny when it's happening.
No,
we don't use the word jerk in my house, but that's sort of the feeling right now with my 10-year-old is when you turn on your radio and lie on your bed after I ask you to clean your room, that would be a stating of the facts, right? Okay. What about maybe a partner to a partner regarding Oreos being brought in the house?
When you bring home Oreos,
easy. When you bring home junk food, when you go through the drive-thru before coming home. Yeah.
When there's a sink full of dishes. When I've just cleaned the kitchen. When you break grandma's sugar bowl. I mean, it's the...
State the facts.
It's... Good. Can we cuss on my TV?
Yeah,
it's the shit that happens.
Yes.
So you have to be clear about what's happening.
She asked if we could cuss on Rye TV. Who are my regulars out there? So state the shit that's happening. With gratitude if you can, or even just neutrally, right?
Neutral's great.
Neutral's good. Okay.
Neutral's good.
Yeah. If we're starting it out like evil, we're not necessarily opening up the exchange. Good. Yeah. Part 2 of our fill-in-the-blank formula for better communication.
State an emotional experience.
Ooh, that sounds a little juicier. Okay. I feel kind of stuff.
It's, again, emotions are often hard to identify. And so this can be a problem-solving practice.
Okay.
I feel tired isn't really an emotion, but I feel crabby,
cranky,
edgy. That's a little more of what you're feeling.
I like that.
It's the emotion.
Well, it's funny. We had an interview earlier in the year about emotions and came to the conclusion that, yes, it is really difficult a lot of times, especially for kids, to accurately identify what they are feeling in the moment. Yes?
Yeah, you can Google those emotion charts that show the 25 faces. And that can be a helpful tool for you and for the kids to say, what am I right now?
Great. And I am tired, not necessarily emotion. Yeah, I think that's a default one a lot of us go to. Bored? Is bored an emotion? Not interested in this conversation?
That's a good question. And if you could figure out what the boredom causes...
Yeah, it's like you just got to go that layer deeper,
You got to go a layer deeper. So is boredom really a feeling like you're missing out on something else that could be happening? Like the grown-up conversation is boring because I would really rather be...
Playing my video game.
Playing my video game.
Yes.
So it's important to not be judgmental around that emotional exploration.
Okay.
You know, and with you, because I know you're strong and resourced, I will push you a little bit and might say, is
go
that
deeper.
Really how you feel?
Yeah, give me a little
but
more.
When a kid is really trying and saying, I'm bored, then you can help as their emotion coach to say, and what's wrong with being bored?
What's
Why
that
are you
feeling
struggling
for
with
you?
being bored? Because as a mother, I would probably love to be bored.
Yeah, give me some boredom any day.
Wander around the house and be like, well, what am I going to do now?
I wonder, I could pick anything. Yeah. I love that so much. So what advice do you have for someone that might be struggling to choose an emotion, feel an emotion other than just pissed off all the time or irritated? I think a lot of moms especially are constantly living in this like state of hyper over arousal, you know, nervous system over arousal, and the feeling is always, I'm irritated for me. How do I go deeper? How do I try and identify something more?
So that kind of leads us to the next part, which step 3 in the fill in the blank, the 4-part fill in the blank, is to state a need that is or is not being met. So sometimes the emotion and the need can point to each other.
Good.
If you're having a hard time naming it, then maybe move to the next step and then see if you can clarify. And because I have a body-based practice, you know, my practice is unique in one way that we don't just talk about what's going on, but I'm going to ask you how you feel.
Yeah.
So the sensation is different than the emotion, but they're kind of the same thing.
Okay.
Kind of on a molecular level. So if you are having a hard time naming an emotion, you could turn to the physical experience, the somatic experience that you're having.
Tuning into the body.
And saying, it's not an emotion, but saying, I feel a pit in my stomach.
Great.
Because then as that is acknowledged and begins to shift, you can check back in and say, how's the pit in your stomach? And you can say, it's not there anymore.
I love that. And that reminds me that I spent years just calling them stomach aches or, you know, whatever it is. And yeah, I have stomach aches, but it wasn't until recently that I was able to identify some of my stomach pain as grief. And it took a long time to get to that, you know, or hurt or sadness, because layered on top of it was irritation and anger and overwhelm, right? So sometimes those softer emotions, the sadness one, that's harder for me to access, I think. But with coaching, with body work, with connection to self, I think, sure, I can now say I'm sad and let the tears come if they need to.
And it also breaks the pattern of overthinking how you feel when you use your body as a resource for information.
I love that.
So I challenge this in the groups that I facilitate and a lot of the workplace wellness tools that I bring into organizations is people walk around all the time and say, how are you? How are you? And it's a salutation in our culture. But if you really were to say, how are you? Most of the time we're so just default fine. And if you just check in with your body, you can break the script of the mind. Another one that's really, I'm working really hard on this right now, sort of breaking this, I'm busy. How are you? I'm so busy. I'm so busy.
Yeah, busy syndrome.
Or another one that is a very common default, how are you, is, oh, the kids have been sick.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's not a feeling.
And so if you say, like right now, I'm very excited. I don't know that that's an emotion necessarily. I'm thrilled to be with you today and talking about something I'm obviously passionate about. But if you were to ask me, how am I doing right now? I could say, my throat is a little tight. The tea helps. And I think that is an adrenaline excitement because I know I'm using my voice to convey something that's really meaningful to me, and that a lot of the energy and the felt sensation is here in the throat. And that's going to be a much different experience when I transition away from this and move into another activity that I'm doing this day. So that can be another way to sort of navigate how we are doing as we move through.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Did you hear how in touch she is with herself and her body and her emotions? That's so encouraging.
Thanks.
So part 3 was stating whether or not your need has been met.
Correct.
Yeah. And the need can be, I have a need for you to eat healthy, mom to child, right? I have a need for this whole family to eat healthy. That is a big value of mine. Jess and I were talking about this earlier. And oftentimes with a lot of moms inside the New School Kitchen, that need is not being met on a daily, regular basis. And a lot of emotion and frustration builds up as a result.
Yeah, so the need is really going to point to your value, your core value. And this is the opportunity to really revise and refine what your needs truly are, because we may think we have a need to do something or not do something. But when we use this framework and think through it, this is where we can build flexibility and change within ourselves, because we might realize it's really not that important. Do I really care that your clothes are on the floor? Or is my value to teach you that material things are not disposable, therefore you need to take care of them?
I love that.
And every family has a different set of values, which is why I love bringing just an open-mindedness to work with them, because, I mean, it's much like with the coaching, just general health coaching. Client comes in, my doctor says I need to stop smoking. Well, how do you feel about stopping smoking? Is that even a value of yours?
Beautiful.
And so then you get to check in and say, am I in alignment with my values, and how is that showing up through my parenting, through my conscious dialogue with my partner?
I love this so much, because I think so much of the time we do go on autopilot and we are doing what our parents did, right? You got to make your bed every morning. You've got to clean your room. And that whole just using this formula to decide, is the clothing on the floor really important to me in the scheme of all the things? I have long ago decided the clothing on the floor is not a thing. And guess who else leaves their clothing on the floor? So yeah, after yelling at him a few times. Oh, do you?
My clothes are all over the place.
Do you leave your clothing on the floor? You know, it's really hard. Let me just go off topic for a second here, because I don't wash every stitch of clothing that I wear, right? But I also don't want to wear it and put it back in the drawer. So there's in between thing where it's like, this isn't really dirty, but it's not really clean.
So it goes on the floor.
Or over a chair. Yeah.
I know.
Come on. I can't be the only one that has this problem. So great. Really getting clear on the need as it points to the value or not.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it generally is pointing to the value.
Yes.
Most of us, to have our family, to be healthy, right? To feel like, to not ever have to go through having your child have cancer. I mean, that's pretty simple in a lot of ways, right? But every single day that's challenged when my son says, vegetables are disgusting. Your vegetables are disgusting. This is horrible. I hate this. This tastes bad.
Your vegetables are disgusting. Oh, that's really...
Wait, yes.
That's hurtful.
Yes, it is.
That's really hurtful.
It is hurtful. And he's a very verbal child, has always been, so he can come up with all the words of how he feels about, vegetables in general. And we can get into then the request at the end here. Number 4, in Jess's 4-part formula, stating your request. How do we do that?
So the request is the problem solving. What can be done about this? And you can ask the request of another person, but you have to be willing to negotiate, because their need might not align with yours.
So my request is that you eat your broccoli.
Might not align with his.
Correct. Does not.
And so then you compromise, you negotiate, and probably the biggest skill in all of this is to be resourceful, to figure out how to meet your own needs.
In the face of not having it actually met right there at the table. I mean, I've got to then take part 4 and internalize it and meet my own need. How do I do that?
Well, we can talk about that.
She's going to give me some coaching.
I'm going to give you some coaching, but I wanted to go back to the need and the value.
Sure.
Because this is the part I think that is the core of it.
Okay.
I think you titled the episode "How to Get What You
How
Need."
to get what you need. Who
Get what
doesn't
you need.
want that?
So, and you're talking about protecting the family's health as a core value, and we can think about this. I mean, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about families is because everything happens in the family. And then some people really focus on environment or politics or policy or something outside of that. And so if we just look at something like how we're fueling our children, I don't know, I'm not a nutritional science expert, but I know enough
You
at
eat
least
well.
to think that if you fuel your cells with a green thing, that's going to provide a very different fuel than if you fuel your cell with a dyed red thing with sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So on a molecular level, we are providing a better operational fuel for that child and for us as adults, so that then they can go to school and be asked to sit and learn and make eye contact and behave, which makes teachers more successful, which makes counties more successful, which makes... I mean, so it's this.
Yep, the ripple.
And so something that seems really small, like, you gave them Fruity Pebbles for dinner? This is why it matters so much to me, because he also got a bad conduct last week.
Yep.
And you're trying to take away his iPad for teaching him better conduct and motivation to behave. And I'm thinking on a cellular level, this child needs different fuel.
Beautiful.
And, I mean, I could go on and on about, like, it happens in the family, but it's so important to the world.
Yep.
And this is just a really, like, every day we have to eat, like, a couple times
Well,
a day.
that's why it feels so big, I think, to so many families.
Yeah.
Because we are aware of the much bigger problem at hand here, and then at the micro level, like, the cooperation isn't there on so many levels with the school, with the partner, with the student, and so it does feel like you're bashing your head up against a wall. But maybe this 4-part fill-in-the-blank method, not even maybe, this could really open it up, the conversation.
I have found in my own house that it is helpful for me to process it through the framework in the presence of someone else who understands the framework, even if they're not participating necessarily, but for me to say, hey, I need a few minutes, I want to work through my 4-step and just to kind of run through it to say, you know, why am I so upset right now? Let me put my finger on this. And then when I want to cut the drama and just get to the point, I can use this as a quick little, you know, like, it doesn't have to be a big sit down. It doesn't have to be a family powwow. It's 4 things. And
well, and I want you to do, I love this, and I'm going to ask her to put the 4 things together. So just to break it down, you state the fact, be specific, not the fact is, you know, oh,
sorry about that.
A little earthquake. State the fact and be specific. Number 2, state the emotion-based feeling that's coming up for you. Number 3, assess whether your need is met or not being met in that moment. And then number 4, make a request, knowing that you're gonna have to be willing to negotiate, right? My problem is that I think that my request, coming from an authoritarian father, that my request should be honored because you are the child and I'm the parent, right? Now you will eat your broccoli. So no wonder I'm in a power struggle. So put those 4 together for me. I don't know how you would use them in your house, or an example you see in your practice.
Well, I can just continue what I was saying right now, which is much more of a present, because what we're trying to do is really work in the present.
Work in the present.
And it's, when you interview me for your show, I feel exhilarated because a need to express my passion is being met, and my request is that we are open to further collaboration in the future.
Oh, that was so nice! And my whole heart was like, okay.
So that's an example of a gratitude statement.
So using this for positive.
Positive, positive, positive. And I love the sandwich method, which is positive, what needs to be improved, and then another positive. Because if you learn anything about that kind of emotional bank account, you have to deposit so much love, because when someone feels ashamed, then you're really draining a lot. So you want to have a surplus of the affirmative, positive, loving. I see how good you are all the time.
In. So I am not doing this enough with Miles. It's 90% me picking on him.
Yeah.
Really. And it's all, that's really interesting. It's like dogs. Is that terrible? Right? Positive, like, kids and dogs respond well to positive affirmations.
Everybody does.
Apparently. I didn't get that memo, though.
Everybody does.
So let me practice doing it in the positive, then.
Okay, and because everyone in your sphere should know this as the framework, because it doesn't do very well to just you are the only one who knows
Got it. Okay.
Because then it feels fake, and
everyone's like, why do you keep wording things like that, Mom?
So I usually introduce these new tools with humor.
Uh-huh.
And then when everybody knows it, then we can really use it for sort of that first aid approach.
So I love this.
Now that you know, I've shared my statement. So.
Okay. I'm going to practice being present with it too. I'm not going to do a Miles example. So state the fact. Give an example. When you invite me to your office to do the interview, I feel safe and special. And my need for connection with other women is met. My request is that we do this again, maybe even without a camera on. Yes? Yay! So I love this piece about everyone in the family needs to know. So this is something I could potentially introduce in a family meeting. We have those, right? Like, hey guys, I learned something new today. I thought we could all learn it too. And then I have this big ugly whiteboard in my dining room, and I think what I'm going to do is write out the cues, write out the prompts, and if you're watching after the fact, you'll see these prompts. They'll be written up at the top of the video, so that anyone, including the 10-year-old, can fill in the blank and start to kind of learn the language.
I love that. I also, to go back to the spirit of the need and really honoring everyone's need, I think that if families are going to have powwows, family meetings, that it's really important to give, especially those elementary and middle age kids, well, and high school kids too, the opportunity to share something that's really passionate for them too.
Right.
Because if we want them to listen to our silly old 4-part
boring adult
thing,
stuff,
then I need to be really into that new video game. Even if the show and tell is we need to come and watch him play and give him props for every new coin he gets or whatever it is for 10 minutes. Yeah. And it is all about him.
Filling his tank in that time too.
Exactly. Yeah. Showing value for his need and respect and empathy for his mission and passion, just like yours, is important.
This is huge, and I want you guys to think and take a little inventory about whether you're doing this as well, or if I'm the only one who, because I don't like video games and screens, because I don't want him to become a gamer kid, I feel like I don't give any of that attention, and all he wants is for me to, hey, watch this move, Mom. Hey, see, do you know what I did? How'd it go today? Well, on the third level of a thing, and it's like, oh my gosh, he's obsessed. He's probably obsessed because I want nothing to do with it, so he's obsessed with sharing it with me almost.
Well, and it's just like the 3 or 4-year-old who's showing you all the ballerina moves.
Yes.
Watch, Mom, watch, Mom,
look what I can do,
And, all right, great, I'm really going to get the dinner on the table. But how important it is for that being to be seen for what they are doing.
Huge, huge. This doesn't just apply to kids, guys, right? Coworkers, friends, family, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, all of it. Yeah, really beautiful. See them. See the people in your life who you want to be better communicators with.
Yes, and even if the old-timey coins from great-grandpa's trunk are the least thing on your list of high activities.
Yep.
Sit there and look at those coins and manage yourself and ask some questions. Yeah. And you will fill that person's tank so that they're resourced and can be empathic and connected when you say, I know it's not McDonald's, but it is a burger, grass-fed. Yep. And I'd really appreciate it if you get
Grandpa is that much more likely to honor your need when his has been met for coin time.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. Jess really does break things down in simple terms. So I'm like, I get it finally, but really beautiful. I already have action here, guys, walking away from this. I feel like you're coaching me right now. So good. State the fact, the feeling, the need, and the request if you want to make it super simple.
Yep.
Great. So for example, and if anybody wants to give an example that they're struggling with in their house, how to introduce my hubby and 2-year-old to humor. With humor. I love these examples. Maybe it's important for him. Oh, you guys are helping each other. I love this. Keep doing that. That's so good. Community. So let's go back to husband brings Oreos in the house.
Okay.
Can we do that? Break it down for me.
Do you want to role play it, or do you want to tell me a scenario?
I want you to give me exactly what you would say. So what if your husband brought Oreos home, or something that you can't eat? Do you have any food tension in your home, or are y'all on the same page?
We have really bursted through those barriers. So we
exciting.
Don't really have a lot of food tension, but I can definitely use
give
an
me
example.
an example. Let's give them the example.
I can make it a real example.
Do it.
I love you, honey. When I have prioritized making a homemade dinner and it's really been ready for an hour and you said you would gonna be home and 1 hour turned into 2.5 hours and the dinner is literally sitting on the table and I'm so starving, I feel hungry and annoyed because my need to connect with you at the dinner table isn't being met. And my request is that you communicate your timeline with me so that I can have a snack and delay putting the hot meal on the table.
Wow. Wow, did you hear that? So the request wasn't get home on time and eat my dinner.
Yeah.
The request was communicate with me so that we can both have our needs met. We can sit together and you can get home when you're ready to get home.
And the other need really being, if I'm hungry, you know, the difference between an hour or 2 hours is big, and I can go ahead and eat one of my cookie power bars and not be as depleted energetically.
Great.
And then take that energetic depletion and turn it around on him, like, you're always late and you never say what you're going to do and I can't trust you, and turns into a big thing, which is really just, I'm hungry.
I'm hungry, yeah. And then all of a sudden there was the epic fight of the century. Yeah. I imagine that using this method can very quickly bring two people closer together if they're both participating, yes?
Yes, because to go back to the whole point is kindness and compassion and empathy. We want to meet each other's needs. Yeah. That's why we're in relationship.
Why you got married, or yeah.
I mean, and when if we were having a conflict and I were to just super bottom line it and say, I miss you and I need your presence. It doesn't have to be about how you never called me back. It doesn't have to be that it's 6 months since you've made any time for me. It doesn't have to be about any of that.
It's just your need. And
then you could say, she just wants to be with me because she values me. And then you would probably be more motivated to be with me.
Yes. Well, it cuts all this shame out is what it feels like, right? The shame and the blame is gone, which is the trap and the cycle I think a lot of us get. You did this.
Yeah.
Nowhere in this framework, guys, are we using the word you, correct?
Right. So when you're making your observational statement, it's really important to say when you brought the Oreos home.
Yes.
It's when the Oreos were brought home.
Yes.
I felt discouraged because my need to get all the junk out of the house to protect our health was not being met. And my request is that if you really need the Oreos, okay, so I used you, but if the Oreos are so important to you, can you keep them at your office?
Yeah. Good. Beautiful. I think that's so key. And when I first started really working on communication, that was like the only thing I could handle. Don't make you statements, make I statements. And I think it's really powerful practice for anybody struggling. And then fill in the blanks with this 4-part formula, guys. I'm going to have Jess give me a little bit of coaching now here so that you can see how this plays out real time in the moment. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. And feel free to ask any questions or state the scenarios that you have going on in your life where your communication is. Caroline says, my daughter just broke my grandmother's sugar bowl.
Are you kidding me?
Is that, I mean, how does that make you feel? Yes, needs are met and compromise. This is great. Y'all are feeling it. Good. Little bit of coaching, and then I'm going to tell you, don't go anywhere, folks, how you can win a free?
It's free.
She's given one away, coaching session with the one and only Jess Ellum. I think I did 4 or 5 sessions with you this year, and really game-changing for me, folks. Jess has a lot of experience, clinical experience, sitting across from someone, and we share a certification from Duke. We both went to the Duke Integrated Medicine Health Coaching Program, which I think is why we get along so well on some levels, too. We speak the same language.
Yeah, it was a really good training, and gets us on the same page with what the whole thing about coaching is about.
Yes, and really it's what I've realized is, especially working with Jess, it's about moving you forward rather quickly.
Yeah.
Right? The speed at which I have moved forward working with good coaches, Duke certified coaches, is exponential to years and years in therapy, comparatively.
Yeah, and it's really a great thing when people don't come back to me. It's like, good,
you did your
job.
job.
Yeah.
Yes.
When they sit and sit and sit, I know that I'm meeting a different need for them. It's really no longer coaching. It's a different aspect of relationship at that point.
Ooh, I didn't think of that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So stand by. You'll get a chance to win a coaching session, perhaps. Some lucky person. And that can be a distance session, too. Do you do phone and Skype?
Virtual sessions are always an option, and I promise we will laugh. I will find a way so that you can learn new shit.
Always light, always laughs. Okay, so I'm going to get some coaching right now around, help me even decide what I'm going to get some coaching around. Can you ask me a question or two?
How has your weekend been?
Oh gosh, okay, yeah, good. So we are feeling the stress pretty big right now. We had mold in our half bath growing, so we had that demoed on Thursday on Luca's second birthday. They were ripping out the bathroom. We've got plastic up. That whole section of the house is cut off, and we've moved any family room items that are not rugs or clothes or whatever might grow mold to our now smaller section of house that we're living in. So it's been tight.
Yeah, how in any way is that causing conflict for you?
I think there's a renegotiation of everyone's personal space. So my room, my living room, my formal living room has now become the family room. So everybody is in my space. So there's muddy sneakers next to my desk and, that sort of thing. My space is disrupted, and I think the way that I'm showing up in it is just snippy and not fun.
Okay, so you're noticing that you're snippy and not fun, which is not how you like to be in a relationship with your family.
No.
How would you like to be in a relationship with your family?
Good. I would like to be, Sunday, I just want to be up for family time. Like, just what's happening, present, I think, and not affected by the external.
Present, spontaneous.
Yeah. Noticing what's happening with relationships and emotions and not just stuff.
Okay. And you're talking about a pretty specific physical environment aspect of health, which is that there's been a change in your household due to the storm, and a space issue. You listed muddy shoes as something, and everyone's sort of just being closer together.
Yeah, and I don't like having no space.
The physical, sorry.
No, it wasn't
kidding.
you.
I'm kidding.
But I'm actually not I really need space.
You need space,
yeah.
and that the space is integrated with relationships and communication.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And your ability to be present and not be marred down by the muddy shoes at the desk. So does the muddy shoes by the desk seem like the most relevant piece of this, or is there something a little bit more impactful?
Good. Does the muddy shoes by the desk? No, that's not. It's a representation of what's like irritating and off right now, but I think it's just like the emotions in the household are high. I mean, my emotions are high. I can't speak for them, actually.
Okay. Can you try to use the framework just to share a very specific experience that happened related to your emotions being tense or high or however it was you said it?
Great. I'm going to use the framework, guys. Ready? Watch me fill in the 4 blanks for Jess. So, state the fact, okay? So let's go with my husband yesterday staying home to get some work done, and then I came home and I didn't really see that there was much that had been accomplished.
Okay.
So if I was to say this to him, or am I just stating it in general, the 4 parts?
I always think that the self-reflection piece is really important, so that I'm mindful in my dialogue.
Great.
So I like to run it through internally, just to make sure I can bottom line it.
Ooh, I like
because
this.
the processing with the companion is often the thing that leads to the conflict.
For sure.
So if you could just pretend like you're processing through yourself, and then we'll nail it so that you can say exactly what you want to say to your husband.
Oh, it's so good. It's a dress rehearsal. I like that.
Yeah.
Yes, I like dress rehearsals. Okay. When you stayed home to work on the home and not much moved forward?
When I came home and saw that
Good.
the specific was still specific.
Right, I said you, right? Me, I. Okay. When I came home and saw that none of the dehumidifier stuff had been done.
Excellent.
Great. I felt is overwhelmed in emotion.
Yeah, and you even look a little panicky.
Yeah, look, I'm clenching my fists. I felt, panicky is a very good word for it. I felt panicky and nervous about more mold.
And the underlying thing there is that you felt unsafe or there was a fear.
Yes.
I was afraid.
Yes. And I think, yes, that's at the bottom of all this irritation.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And so my need for no moisture in the house is not being met.
But why don't you want moisture in the house?
My need for a healthy environment in my home.
Air quality,
Yes.
because it relates to what?
My physical symptoms and then my emotional fallout because of them.
So your health and maybe something...
Kind of the happiness of the whole family.
Yeah, health, and let's keep working with that, because I think sometimes when we say healthy family, people take that for granted unless they're not healthy.
Yes.
And someone who's worked really hard to get their homeostasis kind of as the baseline of function.
Yes.
You really value that.
Yes.
And you know when you're not feeling well and how that impacts everybody else. So let's keep my need to be healthy in mind, but we might want to revise that a little bit.
Good. I love this. Okay, so when I came home and saw that the dehumidifiers were not set up, I felt afraid because my need for a healthy home environment was not met. My request is that you take care of the dehumidifying as soon as possible.
Yes, and you could even be more specific, because then he has an area to really negotiate.
Ooh, okay. Take care of the hooking these 3 things up by tomorrow morning.
By tomorrow morning, within the hour, whatever it is.
Okay.
Because then he can say, and I can role play how a counter conversation would go had he been prepped with the framework. Would you like to do that?
Let's do it.
Because then the whole dialogue can be just this. And then when you get to your point of everyone's request being made, done. Like, you know what to do.
It's like a really good meeting at work where everybody's focused.
Yeah, because sometimes these family conversations are so cyclical.
Oh, and they'll go on forever.
And you're not getting anywhere. And then next week you're fighting about the same thing.
Yes. Great.
So I loved it. Bottom line it. Simple statements. Really clear. Say it again. And then I'll be...
she'll be Nick.
I'll be...
When I came home and the dehumidifiers were not set up, I felt afraid because my need for a purified home was not met. My request is that this home be dehumidified by tonight at 10 p.m.
When I was home, my focus was on getting the trees cut. And I was feeling really empowered because I got most of the trees cut. And I did that because I have a need to not work in the extreme heat. And yet today was cooler than tomorrow is going to be. And so my request would be, for the rest of the day while it's cool, can I work on the trees? And then tomorrow when it's blazing hot outside, I can be inside and cleaning up the technology and the dehumidifiers.
I'm like already a yes to him. Thank you, darling.
And why do you think why do you feel a yes?
I feel a yes because I have more information now, right? Oh yeah, you do hate being outside in the hot, that's true. And yes, we still do need the yard cleaned up. And it brings in more data as opposed to what I thought happened, which was you took a nap when I left instead of, right? I guessed it, when in reality the State Farm agent came and he spent the time talking to the adjuster. And I didn't find that out until after I was a biatch and turned the whole thing into a mess.
Okay, so it could have been... and if you're really practicing the empathy, the partner says, I can see that this has really triggered your fear. Got it. I'm really going to let that part sink in because I love you and I don't want you to be afraid. I'm here to protect you and support you. But when you went to work, the State Farm person showed up. And I felt responsible to take advantage of that meeting.
Yes.
Because my need to get our reimbursement
yes.
needs to be met.
Yes.
So my request is that you trust that your health is still safe. I don't think that the air quality is bad enough tonight that will be further compromised, and the humidifiers will be set up by tomorrow by 3 when you get home.
It's so much more information.
Yeah.
It's empowering. It's like we're having an actual conversation instead of a thing where I, after 15 years, can sort of guess, I'm guessing what he said or did. And that never goes well, the fill in the blank myself. So I'm really craving more data like this. And Nick would be into this, I think.
Well, yeah, and then if your audience is familiar with the principles of mindful awareness with the beginner's mind, you can really check your assumptions and your expertise of your family and say, okay, I'm going to do this with beginner's mind and just see, because I know there's a need there I might not be aware of. So let me give them the benefit of the doubt and really enter into this in a non-judgmental and open state of mind.
That is so amazing. I feel like I need to go home and teach this to my family right away.
You want to do another example?
I do. One more.
Okay.
One more.
You want to do a real food?
Let's do a food one for, So, you guys, what is it that you're really, I'm going to make sure we got both of us on here. Give me an example, anyone watching, of a food situation. Anna is saying, I love this. We've got a bunch of people coming on. Can't wait to watch this replay. Your sessions must be really productive because of your similar backgrounds. Yeah, I was saying that earlier. I was like, I know exactly what she's asking me right now and exactly what I got to give her to move us along.
Yeah, certain people are more coachable than others.
For sure.
Around 100%. Certain things, especially. So
yeah, we can speed through it like that.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's making me want to come back and talk to you again. All right, let's do a food thing, guys. What kind of situations do you face in your home with any aspect of eating well? This month we're focusing on budgeting and grocery shopping. I know the money piece can usually bring up a lot of tension for families. So this isn't a great example of how the integrated model of health looks at how nutritional health impacts financial health. And again, it's always comes back to relationships and communication. So if a child isn't eating their food and you're thinking about their nutritional health, but really that's money down the drain. Yeah.
Then that can point to the need.
Yeah, 100%. And how triggering is that for so many of us when, the money is being thrown on the floor to the dog, the organic vegetables, or at least someone was eating it, right? But yes, 100%. So good. Let's do a financial one then.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to coach me again real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Specific example. Oh gosh, our food budget is out of control. I do this thing where I say, because this is my business, this is the one area where I don't have to be really conservative. So spend. And if I need to run to Whole Foods and blow $40 to get convenience items, I need to do that. And in the wake of this storm, we're really going to have to rein a lot of that in and even get an idea of budget. This, I think, is going to bring up a lot of, this is me being triggered, but I need to generate dialogue around this with my family.
Can you think of a very specific, can you anticipate something specific, or has something already happened?
Well, can we do this with me communicating with me?
Yeah.
I like that idea. So we can use this formula to just get clear on where we're at and what's happening internally around something.
Yeah, and if you want to create more what I call cognitive space to practice the skill, because you have to build the skill.
Yes.
It's like you can't just pick up the violin and be like, I'm so perfect at this. You have to do the scales every day. So if you're not sitting with a supportive other, which often builds that cognitive space for you, use a journal. Just a piece of paper, 4 lines, and then write, what is the thing?
Great.
How do I feel? What's the and then you can go back and circle the topics and then say, when the this, then I feel this, because my need, what can I do? Of course I can do that.
Beautiful. Okay, I love this. And for those of you that are feeling like this doesn't pertain to me because my partner would never talk about this, or I don't have a partner, this totally pertains to every single one
or
of
if
us.
your child is really young and not developmentally able yet to get the framework,
you can do
this is how you use it.
So I could use this with a fussy 3-month-old?
Yes.
No way. Give me that real quick. When I stay up all night because you're screaming?
When my nipples are bleeding, I feel angry. Because my need to be out of pain is not being met. My need my double priority to make sure you survive with my breast milk and be out of pain when I'm in relationship to you is not being met. My request is that I call the lactation consultant.
Great. Instead of just being caught in the cycle of resentment or struggle or pain, you really move yourself to kind of a place of action there just in a minute. Move into action.
Yeah.
More of that, please. Good. So one more. I think this finance one will be fun to do.
Yeah. You're
me to my own money stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So should I just try and do this?
Yeah,
State the
just
fact.
wing it. Just see what happens.
When I ignore the budget, when I don't plan and end up overspending.
When I overspend.
Good, right, when I overspend, be specific, I feel, what's that? Really disappointed in myself. Disappointment an emotion? Yes.
Yeah, it's probably, because we're out of time, I'll really help you out with this one.
Do it.
But it's probably a fear thing.
Yeah, isn't it always?
And disappointment, disappointment is maybe like I could have bought vegetables, but instead I bought a magazine.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed in my choice. But if I've blown my budget, I am afraid I'm not going to be able to pay my bills and then speak to the need.
Good. So my need for safety and security is not met, and my request is that I form a budget so I know what I'm working with.
Yeah, and if it's a continuous pattern that you have, when I continually ignore the budget that I've made, I feel confused as to what these competing priorities are. My need to be clear and organized is not being met in this. And so my request is that I really sit down and think about what I'm spending versus why I think I should spend versus save in these particular ways. So it could point you to another exercise or a focus to work with your coach.
Yes.
And then you're so much clearer on what the conflict is.
Oh, I love this so much as a tool. I love the idea of journaling it. What is possible for someone that really starts adopting this framework for themselves? How have you seen your clients benefit from this?
I mean, it's one of the biggest transformations is the permission to express a need, which goes back to the work that I do with young families. A lot of times the way that we parent completely accidentally because we're exhausted and too in it to have objective perspective on it, but is that we aren't honoring the need of the child, and so then the child internalizes my needs aren't valuable. I can't ask for what I need. So then we become adults who aren't living our purpose, utilizing our energy well, communicating effectively, avoiding toxic relationships and behaviors. So you kind of just clear away space so that you can be action oriented towards your mission. But the other thing that it's really helped me do is stop blaming other people and feel an empowerment and a closer connection to my core values. So very brief example, I work in a co-working space, a lot of different businesses up here. One of my values is to have a really safe office. When someone comes in, they feel like they can let their guard down a little bit and do the work that they showed up to do. And when I have another office mate whose value is to show some exuberance with their clientele, which really is like they're being loud in the hall, instead of me saying and going out and saying what's the deal, I can say to myself, oh, I need to work on making sure I feel safe in my environment. It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with
getting clear on that need. Something really reveals a lot.
So then I have problem solved what it is about me needing a professional office space versus how someone is ruining it.
Yeah, it's all her fault. The loud lady out in the hallway, right?
Yeah, and it's not. That way I can be compassionate, empathic, and kind to them.
Great.
And I can address what my need is. And it can be my stuff, not their stuff.
I love this so much. And I want you out there to be able to experience this beyond this video. Jess is giving away one session with her, virtual or in person. You got to do one tiny thing in order to be entered to win. Jess, tell them what they got to do.
What you have to do is you have to look within yourself. All right, so it's multi-step.
Good, a couple steps.
Look within yourself and decide how your life could be happier and healthier if you were to master this tool. And then you need to email me, which is hi, at healthimpacts.co, and just email me your story, your case, how you think I can help you. And then from everyone who writes in, I'll pick someone who I really think I can help, and then I'll reach out and we'll find a time to get together.
I love this. So you're entered to win by sending Jess an email, hi@healthimpacts.co. Tell her about yourself, and she may give you a chance to work with her. If they don't win, you can also still work with Jess here in Wilmington or virtually. Healthimpacts.co is her website, and she also is Happy Families, Happy Babies. She does incredible work. Please go check out her site. It will be linked to this video, and I'll send it out. Is there anything else you want to share with our viewers before we go about you or about this method? Or
just, happy communicating, and communicate with yourself. Think about what you really need and that you deserve to have your needs met.
Oh, I love that. You deserve to have your needs met. We all do. Thank you so much for being here for this episode of Rye TV. I'm really grateful for the support of my followers and for the community. Grateful to you, Jess, that you could do this interview. I'm going to give you a hug. You're amazing. I feel like I just got a coaching session out of the deal. And please do tune in to future episodes of Rye TV. Follow me at thenewschoolkitchen.com and on my Facebook page. I would be honored to have you be part of my community. Thank you, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.